Well. Who is going to be the first person today? Sunday Adelaja here. And welcome, everyone. Nice to see you. Is anybody coming yet? I'm sure the notification is out already. Shegun Fatubo. Wow. You are a miracle worker. I tell you that one. You are a miracle worker. You are the first one. Good evening. Good evening. Lola Shoronke, blessing. Good evening. Welcome. Kike Moronkeji, blessings. Happy birthday to you again. Tomi Lola, evening. Dora. Kenneth Amobi. Shegun Fatuma is saying, no technology, just pure determination. Maraizo. Jack Nesha. Prince Dominic. Terry. Abiodun Olaluwe. Styles Anointed. Hope Alive. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Flair Karen Matip. Abikosh. Fumi Onifade. Keith Vincent Webb. Susan. Robson. Magnus. Blessing by Magnus. Justin. Sholange. Ludovic. Shidi, Shegun Lawal, welcome. Charles Smith, welcome. Can we begin to go and invite our friends? Let's begin to go and share the message. Let's go and share the link. Or look at me, go share the link. Adedamola, go share the link. Comfort, J. Nathan, Butare, let's go share the link, please. Harry Lack Andre, Sky Handsome, Ernest Ebong, Nikki Okore. Let's go share the link, please. Emmanuel, Benga, let's go share the link. Please go share the link. Ushe Naokoronko, go share the link. Vania, it's been a long time. Welcome back. Lenient, Adebo Wale, please let's go share the link as we are coming in. Dr. James, let's go share the link, and I'll be beginning right now. So let's go share the link, and here we start. Here we are. We are beginning. OB is here. All right. Welcome, everyone. So if you have shared your link, go look for your link button. Where is your share button? Sorry. Where is your share button? Let's go share the link. And once you share the link, we are ready to go. All right. Yes. Yetunde is back. Okay. Well, welcome, everyone. And yep, I'm continuing to talk on the topic that we spoke out. I began to speak about this morning. That money is not emotional. Money is not emotional. It is logical. Money is not emotional. Money is logical. Money is about logic. If you want to have anything to do with money and you want to be successful in money management, then you have to reduce your emotions. Now, some people were trying to ask me, as I read through the comments this morning, some of them were worried that if I said you should not be emotional, does that mean that you should not be kind? Or does that mean that you should not be merciful? Or is that saying that we should, that we should not go and, help people? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that, you have to regulate your emotions and your kindness as well. If you want to be kind and you want to be compassionate, those are legitimate feelings, but the expression of your kindness and the expression of your compassion has to be calculated, has to be well calculated. You must calculate when it comes to money. The fact that you are compassionate does not mean that you take uninformed decision. So you could be compassionate, you could be kind, but you still have to take an informed decision. You still have to be shrewd in your decision making. You still have to have financial intelligence. And if you want to have financial intelligence, it means that you have to, think about all financial decisions that you're taking. If you really want to be successful financially and be able to operate in financial intelligence, it means that you must be less emotional and be more calculative, but be more calculating. There are two things that work when it comes to money. Emotion doesn't work, but what works is one, laws. Laws work well when it comes to money. Money responds to laws. And there is another thing that money responds to. Money responds to planning or logics. Money responds to laws, and money responds to planning or logics, thinking, wisdom. So there are two things. There are two main things that you want to, that really could give you result when it comes to money. The first thing that you want to pay attention to is that you want to make sure that you know the laws of money. Money works well with laws, principles, but money does not work so well with emotions. It doesn't work so well with being sympathetic, being sentimental. Money does not work so much with that. Then the second thing that makes money work so well for you, apart from laws, is logic or planning. Money works well with wisdom. Another key thing that works in money is wisdom. When I talk about logic and planning, that is all could be summed up in one word: wisdom. So money works well with wisdom. Money works well with laws and wisdom. So there are two wings that you must possess before you can fly financially. If you really want to fly financially, you need two wings. And those two wings are the wing of laws and principles and the wings of wisdom. The wings of wisdom. Wisdom that is logic, thinking, and planning. I like the way Jesus spoke about that. There was a guy that came, one Ifeanyi that was there in the morning and was quoting all kind of scriptures to try to derail me that these principles are not scriptural. That's why, not just because of him, but tonight I want to base all my arguments on the scripture, just for someone like him to be able to learn that if I'm not using scripture every 5 minutes, I'm doing that intentionally because I don't want to push away all the atheists that are here listening to me, and I also don't want to push away the Muslims and the Buddhists, and I have all kind of people here with me who are not necessarily Christians. So, and that's the original thing with my teachings. My teachings are directed at everybody. Everybody can embrace these teachings, and then it will be able to help them, and then they could decide if they want to become Christians after that or not. But we have to show them enough light that they want to become Christians. But we don't want to push too much scriptures in their eyes or in their face, so much that they are so embarrassed and they don't even want to stay with us and listen to what we need to say. So anyway, when it comes to money, that money is not emotional. I could see that in the scriptures, and I could see that especially in the teachings of Jesus, that Jesus knows this key. Jesus knows this secret. Jesus knows the secret of money, and he knows that one of the secrets and laws of money is that money does not work well with emotions. And I'm going to show you enough scriptures today for you to know that Jesus operated by this principle. He knows that money does not work by emotions. You remember when Jesus was teaching his disciples, and he mentioned a situation about anybody that would like to, if there is a king that wants to go on a war against another king, it's told us what that king must do. It said if a king wants to go on a war, because a war is a money venture. If you are going on a war, you better have a lot of money. Without money, you cannot conduct a successful war. So Jesus was using that as an example of how we should relate to money. And he said anybody that wants to go on a war, if a king wants to go on a war against another kingdom, that king first must sit down and calculate and make calculations. He must first sit down and calculate What does that mean? In that particular principle, Jesus was trying to tell her that when it comes to war or any venture that demands money, when it comes to any enterprise that where you will need money, the first thing that you must consider is not emotion. Don't just say, "Oh, this country wants to attack us, so we'll go emotionally and just we begin the war." No, before you begin the war, before you go to war, any kind of war, it doesn't have to be physical war in terms of war, killing people. It could be business war. It could be financial war. It could be business. Business itself is a war. It's a war zone. Business is a war zone. Or even if you want to plant a church, that's a war zone as well. So any kind of battle you want to go into, let's better use that word. Any kind of battle that you want to go to would demand money. And any enterprise or venture that would demand money from you, as a principle that must be observed for that enterprise to be successful. For any venture that demands money, you must follow this principle. And the first principle you want to follow when you want to do any venture that demands money, that needs money from you, is number one, you must sit down. Sit down to do what? You must sit down to calculate. You must sit down to count. You must sit down to apply wisdom. So in this case, that is not talking about laws, but that is talking about wisdom. That is talking about being logical, about asking questions, about making calculations, about doing analysis. And anything that demands analysis, that is talking about wisdom. So money answers to wisdom. And before you go to any venture or you want to go to any enterprise, that demands money, you don't want to be emotional. So what are the ventures that you are planning to go into? And what are the enterprises or the battles that you are trying to engage yourself in? The first thing you must do is sit down. Somebody could challenge you. Maybe somebody comes and gives you a prophecy. A prophecy could arouse your emotions, but don't rush and do something out of emotion. Before you go to do something out of, make sure that your emotion cools down first. Any venture that you want to do in life, any enterprise that you want to do, either it's business enterprise, either it's financial enterprise, either it's even family enterprise. Maybe you want to marry or you want to begin to have kids. Make sure that you sit down and make cool-headed calculations. There was a time I was giving example here, and I made such an illustration that I would not advise that from my country where I come from Nigeria, that there is a culture and a tradition that once a newlywed couple marry, that the community and the society first year, once you are married in our country, they want you to be pregnant that very same year. And I was using that as an example that that it is foolish to do that. It is absolutely unwise and irresponsible to get pregnant the very same year you marry, and it's not wise. And one of the reasons it's not wise is because of this principle that Jesus gave here. If you want to start any enterprise, if you want to go into any enterprise, any war, any battle, if you want to start any venture, you must first of all take your time, sit down and make calculations. Sit down and put on your logic hat. Sit down and begin to work things out. Make calculations. So anybody that is wedding and you wed and 2 months later you're already pregnant, I can't see wisdom in that. And that is totally against what Jesus is saying. Because wisdom demands that you want to, first of all, get to know each other better. You want to sit down, get to know what you like, what you don't like. You want to make calculations for your life concerning every area of your life. You don't want to make a girl pregnant the first few months after pregnancy. If you do that to a girl, then you don't know the girl you marry because, hormones will begin to come into play. She will begin to become more emotional because pregnancy changes the mood of any woman. And then she's now more concerned about her pregnancy, about the seed, about in her, and about her well-being than about the marriage itself. So you've not even had the time to know each other and everything. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is that God is And Jesus, all the passages in the Bible that we read, sometimes we just read them and we don't, it's a pity that we read those passages, but we don't, unfortunately, we don't always understand that we need to practice them. We don't always understand that we need to practice them. And that's very sad. So when you read a scripture that says if you want to go on a war or you want to build anything, that you must first of all sit down, that's what it's talking about, including marriage. When you want to build anything, you want to build a marriage, because in the other part of that parable or that story that Jesus was saying, it was not just about war. It was also saying that anybody that wants to build anything, because it was saying if you want to build a tower, but it does not necessarily have to be a tower. If you want to build anything, maybe you want to build a marriage, you want to build a family, you want to build an enterprise, you want to build a business, you want to build a career, you want to build whatever you want to build. Anything that demands building also demands reflection, also demands sitting down first and not rushing. It does not demand emotion. Emotion does not do very well. Emotion does not go very well when you are, going to any enterprise or any venture, any deal, especially when that deal will cost you money. And whenever you are building something, that will cost you money. Any building of any sort needs money. And if anything, you want to go into any project at all, any enterprise that needs money, then you must never rush into it. You must take your time and sit down. Take your time, make all your calculations, make your inventories, do your analysis, and only after you have done all your calculations and you have come to the very best conclusions, then you could begin to do the physical work, and you could begin to plan, begin to have the children begin to come, or you could begin to go to work on the business or on the building, or you could begin to step out to do what you need to do. So what am I learning? What are we learning from this particular story from Jesus? He's saying, whenever you want to build anything, or whenever you want to embark on any project that would demand money, make sure that you follow the laws of money. And the laws of money say, don't be emotional. Emotion does not work very well with money. Emotion only disturbs. Emotion only makes you to be illogical and irrational. And with money, you've got to be friendly with logic. You've got to be rational, and you've got to apply wisdom. So what he's saying is, when you want to embark on any project, or when you want to start any form of building whatsoever that will involve or demand money, as building would demand, as war would demand, you want to sit down first. Money demands cool-headedness. Money demands cool-headedness. So we must learn to be cool-headed. We must learn to take our cool, sit down, calculate the cost, calculate the resources that you need, make the calculations, find the pros and the cons and the pros, and and then come reach a well-informed conclusion. And that is when you could be successful. So to be successful in any deal that demands money, you need to know that there are two principles that are important. The number one principle is that money does not apply, it does not respond to emotions. So throw away emotions, be cool-headed, and put in your logical heart, and be logical. Ask your questions, put on your wisdom, and that is what makes money work. So, and then you need to look for the laws of money. So money works well with laws of money. Money works well with planning, with wisdom, but it does not work at all with emotions. So the question I have for you right now is, now that I've started teaching you about investments, I've started teaching you about managing your money and your resources and to have the right attitude to money, and I've started teaching you about the laws of money. One thing that I will really challenge you to do, at least find some time, to find an hour in a week, at least 1 hour in a week. Maybe you can do that every day, but at least once a week. You need to sit down and make some calculations about your expenses. Make some calculations about your projects. Make some calculations about your plans. Make some calculations about your endeavors, about your project, about your enterprises, anything that you want to do in the future. Plan regarding your future, and make sure that you do your calculations, you do your analysis, and then let your figures speak for you. Get your figures right, get your statistics right, and make sure that you are well informed. Be cool-headed when you are making your calculations. Make sure you remove all emotional decisions, and you have to analyze yourself. What are the decisions I've made out of emotion? What are the things that I was, the conclusions or the commitment that I am involved with right now that are just emotional? And maybe you need to subtract them. Maybe you need to remove them. You need to reduce your emotional decisions and then put some logic behind them and see if it works with the principles that you have already worked out for yourself. So if you want to be kind and you want to help people, you can still do that, but make sure that you build a principle first. So like I said in the morning, if you want to be helping people, just take a decision, a principle decision, and say, okay, from my finances or from my income, 5% or 10% will be going to help people. And then once you put that 10% apart, then you abide by that you already have the principle. So the principle now becomes your guiding light. So you now live by that principle. So the same thing in every other thing. For example, if you have a principle, a policy, which is a principle as well, that you are spending on your family only 10% of your income, or 20% of your income, or 30% of your income. So abide by that. But before you begin to spend your money, make sure you come out with some principles. So sit down and get some principles together. A principle could be, for example, my expenses will include my tithe. That's a principle. It's non-negotiable. It's non-negotiable. So 10% of my tithe, of my money, is going to God. Okay, how much percent do I want to go for offering? Maybe 1%. Okay, how much percent do I want to bless people with? You have to write that down. That's a principle. Then maybe you want to give some money to your family, to your relatives. Okay, put that there also, that I will always bless my family with some amount of money. So that's a principle right there. Then you say, okay, what amount of percentage will be coming to my family? Maybe you want to say, okay, for me and my wife, we won't have to have 5% as our pocket money or of our monthly money. That's a principle right there. And then you say for the children, we have 10%. That's a principle too. Then for investment, we have 30%. That's a principle. So all those principles, once you have the policies and the principles outlined, then you must abide by them. So that's what it means. But on daily basis, there will be emotional demands. People will be coming to you to ask you for this and that, and to be telling you need this, they need this help, or they will be appealing to your emotions. But what it means is that you just go ahead and look back at your principles, at the laws that you have worked out for your family, and you make sure that your emotions follow after your principles. So you say, okay, if some people are asking you to help them and you only have 5% for your budget to help people, so you make sure that you submit your emotion to that demand, to that principle that you had already worked out of 5%. So no matter how emotional you are, you express your emotion within the boundary of that 5% of your income. And the same thing, if there are some needs that come up with your children or your husband, they said, okay, we want to do this. The children said, we need this iPad, or we need this tomorrow, we need it. But the budget that you have for the children is only a certain amount of money every month. And you say, okay, this amount of money, we have already paid it for your school, or we have put it for your saving, or for the saving for your future, we put it in your account. So this month, we cannot afford it because it does not go into or it does not work with the principles that you have already worked out. We don't spend more than this amount every month on our children, and so we have to wait for next month. So that's a principle. That's the way principles work. Principles guide you. Principles protect you. Principles, they become like your constraint, but an informed constraint. It's not a constraint in the sense that you are being forced to do something, but these are constraints that you put in place for yourself. These are voluntary constraints. So if you say we cannot afford that this time, it's not that you don't have money. You have enough money in other departments. Maybe you have enough money for mom and dad. But you have not. That is not the needs for the children. You cannot be jumping from one, policy, from one department of the budget to the other. You don't want to mix the departments. So if the money for the parents are there, and for the children, sorry, let's say you still have $1,000 for the children, and you need something to buy a bag or something for yourself, you don't cross over to take from the children's money. So vice versa, you don't cross over to take from the parents' money as well. So everybody have to abide by the principle. But sometimes, of course, I know that sometimes there are some times you need to revisit the principles. You need to change the principles. Then you have to come together with the people who worked out the principle in the first place. So if you worked out the principles or the budget and the policy, the financial policy of your family with your wife, for example. So let's say you are a man and you and your wife had worked out this budget and you made the policies and the principles that this are the way it's going to be. But you can change it. The only thing you need is that you all need to come together, agree on the conditions and change the conditions, and maybe it's going to be a temporary change or a long-term change, but you don't change that all the time. It has to be, you have to scrutinize yourselves, and you have to make sure that you control each other so that nobody just comes every day and changes the policy and changes the the rule all the time. You want to abide by the rule. Once you have made the rule, once you have agreed on the rule and the principles, you don't want to ever change it. You want to abide by those rules, because money works well with principles, with laws, and with rules. Money doesn't work well with emotions. So money is not emotional. Money is logical. Now, let's now look into other examples in the Bible of how Jesus showed us this principle. How Jesus showed us this principle. Do you remember when Jesus was sitting down in the house of one of the taxpayers, and this lady showed up, Mary Magdalene showed up, and she showed up to do what? With a bottle of alabaster oil, and so she brought the oil and started pouring the oil on the head of Jesus. You all know that story. And when the people around, the Pharisees know how to count money, you see. And the disciples, when they saw the lady pouring this oil on Jesus, and the residue of the oil, of course, was pouring on the ground. So they were thinking that it's a waste. Why should she be wasting such an expensive property or resource? Why should she be wasting that money? So much money pouring on the floor, and they were being emotional. That is emotion, because they started saying that money could have been used to feed the poor or to help the poor. And Jesus just said, no, you have been emotional now, because that's the first reaction. Because I'm sure they were not even thinking of the poor before then, but it's emotion. When you see something, you have certain emotional reaction. So the emotional reaction that they had was to use the excuse of the poor as the reason why this lady shouldn't pour that oil on Jesus anymore, because they saw it was money. She was wasting money according to their judgment. But Jesus came back and will not budge. Jesus did not give in to their emotional demands, you see. Jesus kept to the principle. Jesus, was saying this thing that, you will always have the poor around you. That is, so he's thinking, he's making, he's making logical decisions. He's making informed decisions. He's saying, no, you always have the poor around you. If you are really interested in the poor, you could have done something about the poor yesterday or tomorrow. You can always do something about the poor. Why is it that it is now that this lady is trying to do something for history and posterity that you poor are remembering about the poor? So Jesus, is applying the principle, and is saying what this lady has done for me, is going to be remembered for as long as this story is going to be told. As long as Bible is going to be read, as long as people are going to believe in Christ, they are going to remember and tell the story of this lady. So the lady was actually laying a principle that we all should follow. Anything we spend on Jesus, anything we do for Christ is never forgotten, and it's never a waste. And anything we do for Christ, anything we do for Jesus will become a memorial, both on earth and in heaven. So that's a principle that that lady was actually establishing. And Jesus was not going to buy into the emotions of the people who are pressing him. And then they came back again and started talking to him about that. Oh, he didn't know who this lady is. If he had been a prophet, he would have known that the lady is not pure. She's a prostitute, and he wouldn't have allowed her to touch him and all that. But the bottom line is that they were nervous about the money that was being wasted in their own eyes. They thought the money was being wasted, so they were emotional. But Jesus discouraged emotion when it comes to money. You don't do, when it comes to money, don't just take emotional decisions. Emotions will make you get it wrong. Emotional decisions will make you get it all wrong. Will make you get it all wrong. So instead of submitting to emotion, you should rather submit to logic and principles. So Jesus established a principle right there, and the principle that Jesus established is that this woman was laying a memorial for herself, and whatsoever she does, she did for him, is going to be remembered forever. And that has become a principle for us also. If we want to put a memorial and a monument for ourselves, we should do something for God. We should do something for Jesus. Then we can put up pressure, gather up treasure in heaven for ourselves, and become and establish ourselves for life and eternity. So there are other stories, there are other instances when Jesus would not fall into the blackmail of emotions. Jesus would not apply emotions. He will rather use logic. Before I go into another example about how Jesus would uses how Jesus stops emotions and emotional reaction, but uses logic. I would like you people to write. I wonder why I'm not seeing your comments anymore. The last comments I'm seeing here is from Oluwabumi Shobowale. Is it that you people are not writing any comments, or is my machine that is not showing your comments? Anybody writing anything? Anybody writing anything to what I'm saying? Anybody responding anyhow? I'm not seeing any of the. I'm seeing the likes, but I'm not seeing any comments. Anybody writing any comment? We would like us to see that. Let's see if you are writing any comment. Because if you are writing, they are not showing for sure. They are not showing. I'm not seeing your comments. I don't know why. That's interesting. It says there are comments. It's telling me the number of comments, but I don't need the number of comments. I need the comment themselves. I need the comments to show. Okay. I don't know what's wrong with Facebook this time. Anyway, don't worry. We'll just keep on going. Anyway, so let's look at other examples when Jesus would not succumb to emotion. Do you remember the situation with the young rich lawyer? When the young rich lawyer came to Jesus to ask him about what he should do to inherit the kingdom of God, and Jesus told the young rich man, so Jesus told him that he should go and sell all his possessions, all his properties, all his possessions, and you better don't be emotional, because that to me says that Jesus knows the law that money does not respond to emotion. If Jesus was to allow his emotion to take the better part to take the best part of him, or the better half of him, the better part of him, and Jesus would have said, "Oh, how can I tell him this to go and sell everything he has? No, I better don't do this. No, I better don't do this. So if I'm going to tell this man to sell everything he has, that will be too much. It will be an emotional breakdown for him." So, Jesus did not allow his emotions to go to stop him from telling the truth. So Jesus actually exalted the truth. He exalted principle over emotions. Because if I and you or you are the ones, maybe we would not be bold enough to tell this man to go and sell all his possessions, because that's an emotional factor right there. That is a very strong emotional demand. And you could imagine what kind of emotion that man was going through when Jesus told him to go and sell everything. But Jesus was not giving in to emotions. Yes, in other cases, you see that Jesus wept at when it comes to Lazarus, at the tomb of Lazarus, and Jesus was emotional in many other instances. He had compassion on people, but that was when it comes to people, when it comes to needs of people. But when it comes to financial matters, Jesus was not always he was always putting emotions down. He was putting emotions beside him. So Jesus was not submitting to emotion. And in this case, this would have been a very good instance where Jesus could have submitted to emotions and allow his emotion to take the better half of him. But he would not. He would not allow emotions to take over. And he shunned emotion, put emotions aside, and told the man the truth. So that's what we should learn from. When it comes to money, you need to put emotion aside and go by principle. And the principle Jesus was trying to teach the man is that if you are going to be, trusting in your wealth, like you are trusting in wealth right now, you are a servant to that your wealth. You don't own those your possession. You don't own that wealth anymore. It is the wealth that is owning you. And so Jesus must tell him the truth. And I don't care how you feel, this might be painful, but let me tell you what you need to do. You must go and sell everything you have and give to the poor. That is how you'll be able to set yourself free from this, from being a slave to all these things that you have. So this is another example that is showing to us that even Jesus will not mix up emotions in terms of when it comes to money. So when it comes to money, Jesus would not let his emotion take the better half of him or better part of him. And there is another case that was very personal to Jesus, and when it came to the question of money, and Jesus would still not let emotion take the upper hand. You remember when they came to them and they wanted them to pay tax? And even though they were citizens, they were Roman citizens, and Jesus was not emotional and said, "Oh, okay, let's go and quickly pay the money." And so on. No, he called together his disciples and asked them, who do they take tax from? What does the law say? So he's looking for the principle. He's looking for the laws. What does the law say? Does the law say they should take taxes from children of the land, or just from the foreigners, the people who are not children of the land? So they answered him. Then he said, "Okay, just for us to avoid them being offended at us, so go, because some of the disciples were not citizens. They were not Romans. So he said, okay, go ahead and take some coin from the mouth of the fish. So he did a miracle right there and made money to come. But before he provided the money, he asked the questions. It was a cool-headed decision. It was not an emotional decision. It was a well-informed decision. He actually seek advice. And what that is telling us is that we also need to take time to do consult. When it comes to money, you need to consult. You need to take advice. You need to seek advice. You need to study. You need to do research. You need to get yourself informed before you come to any conclusion. So when it comes to money, When it comes to money, it is not emotion that takes the upper hand. Money does not respond well to emotions. Money responds mainly and mostly to laws and principles, and money responds to wisdom. And the decision of Jesus at that point was a decision of wisdom, because they were saying, okay, is it lawful for us to pay tax to Caesar? And he gave them a very good wisdom. He said, give unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and to God what is God. So you see that every time when we are talking about money, Jesus operates more on principles, on laws, rather than on emotions. I learned, in my own case, I learned the lesson of money and emotions in a hard way. I learned, I think it was 1989. That would be, is that 27 years ago? 20 something years ago. 1989. I was a student in Russia, but I went to Germany. And that time they had two Germans. They had Germany. They had the Federal Republic of Germany, and then they had the East Socialist Germany. But Berlin was neutral. Berlin was, neutral. So I was in Berlin just to do some shopping for myself and just to see, I was just visiting Germany and Berlin and doing some. So then, but because I didn't know the German rules, or the law. So, and I was new in Europe. I didn't know traffic light rules were really very strict. I didn't know they were strict like that in Europe. But so we were just passing, and like we Africans, I was with some other Africans there, and we discovered that there was no, it was red light, we were waiting for a few minutes or a few seconds, and the red light was not going to green. So we look around, we saw that there were no cars, and in our own mind, since the road was clear, even though it was red light, it was okay for us to cross. So we started crossing the road. They were still using mark that time, German mark, Dutch mark. So we were crossing the road, and then from nowhere, we didn't even know there were police there. From nowhere, the police just showed up. Two or three policemen. One of them was a woman. So they stopped us and said, why should we cross the road in the wrong place? And then we didn't wait for the light and all that. And we said, oh, we are sorry. We didn't know that you are not supposed to cross in this place. And we didn't, we are just trying to give excuse. Because that's the culture we are coming from. And the culture we're coming from Africa, is that you just try to explain everything, give excuse and explanation, and explain that the reason why you are not obeying or why you are not following the rules and everything. And they said, no, five mark. We said, please, we didn't know we would not do that anymore. They said, 5 mark. We said, oh, we don't have 5 mark. Each one of us had to give 5 mark. We said, we don't have 5 mark, please, we are students. So they said, so after he repeated the third time that 5 mark, and we said we don't have, he said, so we started begging. He said 10 mark. We said, don't talk, don't argue, just give you the money. We said we don't have money, 10 mark. We said, oh no, okay, no, sorry, we don't know, please, we are students. 15 mark. Oh no, sorry, we didn't know we don't have 20 marks. Oh no, please, let's pay 5. 25 marks. No, we are. No, what do we do? 30 marks. So it kept on going like that. Each time you try to argue and bring in emotions, because from the culture that we are coming from, you need to demonstrate emotion and ask for mercy and ask for leniency and ask for forgiveness and ask for understanding, especially since a lady was there, a woman was one of the, and we said, we are students, please, mommy, please help us, 15 marks, 20 marks. So we got the lesson very fast that these people don't like your emotions. They don't want you to impress them with your emotions. They don't want you to manipulate them with your emotions at all. So no room for emotions here. They just say, okay, either you pay right now or you will take you to the police station, and we're students and we need to get back to university to in Russia. So we don't want to go to police station because we don't know. We started being afraid of this German police. If we get to police station, maybe they will lock us up for some weeks. So we didn't want that to happen. So all of us had to find 20-25 marks one way or the other and pay the penalty, you say. So emotions, it's when it comes to money, these people have discovered that emotion does not work. And we were thinking that time, of course, I didn't understand it. We were thinking these Germans are so wicked. They are so wicked. They are so wicked. And when I went to America and England, I see that most of our Africans that are there, they also don't like the rules, because when it comes to the law in these countries, Western countries, they are not bending, they are not compromising. They're just, this is the law. That's it, madam. So you have to do this, sir. Sir, I told you. They become so stern and so hard and so determined. And we've never seen that kind of thing before. We are used to the fact that, when you need money, you begin to beg, or when it comes to money or favor, you begin to ask and begin to use your emotions and use the emotion to manipulate and to tell people that some stories, and you think that the stories will make people to change their mind. That's what doesn't work when it comes to money. And that is how people get your money. When people begin to come to you with some stories and, work on your emotions and ask for pity and mercy, then you begin to get into the emotional mood, and then you begin to, that's how you spend money that you didn't plan for. That's how you spend money that does not even belong to you in the first place. But what does the Bible say about this? In Psalms 138, Psalm 138 verse 2. Psalm 138 verse 2. The Bible says that, God, for you have magnified your word above your name. And what this is talking about is this. When we are talking about name, we call upon the name of the Lord. That is like we are talking about prayers. But the Bible is saying God has exalted his word. And when you talk about the word, you are talking about principle. His principles. God has exalted his principle above his name. What does that mean? That means God, when it comes to prayer, either you are going to pray or emotions, prayer demands emotions. Emotions of prayer and begging and asking for pity. Either it is, when it comes to emotions and prayer and principles, God will always side by principles. God will always stand by principles. So God has exalted principles above emotions. God has exalted principles above his name. God has even exalted principles above prayer. So that's why he's faithful to his word. He's faithful to his principles, not to your emotions. So people, that's what a lot of people have not learned in Africa. People want to go and pray most of the time. Pray, and using emotions and telling God and explaining to God why he must do this, why this shouldn't happen. But emotions don't always work with God. Tears don't always move God. It is his word that moves him. It is his truth that moves him. It is his righteousness that moves him. His truth. He has exalted his word above his name. So don't try to go and use emotions on God. It doesn't always work that way. Sometimes it could, but most of the time, it is the principles that you operate by that really determines what you have. So God wants you to know that he has exalted his principles above his name. He has exalted his word above prayers. He has exalted his principles above emotions. So, especially when it comes to money, this is important. Money does not work with emotions. It works more with principles. It works more with principles. You remember the story that we started this week with, the story of the guy with the 1 talent, the servant that got 1 talent. And that's another example of emotions. That's another example of emotions. But God will not give into emotions, you see. Because the guy was saying, he was being emotional. Oh, I know you. I know that you reap where you don't sow. And so I was offended. He was offended because he got one talent. That's emotion right there. I think you want to reap where you have not sown. I know you. So I didn't do anything with it. I went to eat what you gave me. I went to hide what you gave me. And so this is what you gave me. Using emotion. But the master will not respond to that emotion. And that master is God. God will not respond to people's emotion. emotions. God just said, okay, well, principle is principle. The principle is you are not faithful in little, so you cannot be faithful in much. And since you are not faithful in little, the principle says, that which you have shall be taken from you, and it will be given to those who are faithful in the little that they were given. So since you are not faithful in your little, even the one you have will be taken from you. So God was not responding to the emotions. God was just operating by principles. He was just operating by principles. Like I said, you can't believe it. I'm not seeing your comments. I'm just talking. I feel like I'm here alone. I feel that you people are not here today at all. What could be the reason why the comments are not coming on? I can't believe it. That is very funny. What should be the reason? What could be the reason why the comments are not showing? I can't understand. That's interesting. This had never happened before. What are you people writing? Are you writing anything at all? Or are you writing anything? Anybody writing anything? I think it's right. They are writing. I can't just see what they are writing. That's interesting. That's interesting. Why is it not showing? Okay. Well, let's go ahead and write our opinion. Maybe when I finish the program, I will be able to read some of your comments and opinion. I want to read I want to see what you people will write about this teaching. And you see, Jesus, this is scripture. This scripture is scriptural that, Jesus, with all the examples I've given you, it is, God is not, when it comes to money, God is not, money, God is not emotional. And He would not advise you to be emotional as well. You remember the story of the 10 virgins. You remember the story of the 10 virgins? And that also has something to do with money, because some people decide to economize their money, and they didn't buy enough oil. And because you don't just get oil from nowhere, you have to buy it. So that has to do with money as well. So some people bought enough oil and they had to use money for it, and others did not have enough oil. So when it was time for the bridegroom to come, their lamp was going off. They didn't have enough oil. And I'd always wondered, why is it that these other ladies were so wicked? I was thinking of the other 5 ladies, is it 10 or 5 ladies that didn't have, that had enough oil, the ones that had enough oil. I was always thinking, why should they be so wicked? If they had enough oil, it was only logical. Like from the way I was brought up in Africa, you are brought up to be emotional. That if these people have enough oil, it is only logical that they go and give those oil and share the oil with other people. Why are they not sharing the oil? I thought, that is so bad of them. That is so wicked of them. They are supposed to be sharing the oil with other people. But the thing is that story is from God. It's God that came up with that story, and God didn't condemn them. God didn't condemn those virgins that didn't share the oil, because if you are going to be using emotion, if they were supposed to be use emotion would have told them to go ahead and share the oil. Emotion could have told them that, oh, go and share your own oil, and the consequence. The consequence would have been that if they had shared that oil, their own would not have been enough. Their own oil would not have been enough. And if their own oil is not enough, then they will not be able to make it as well. So, these other 5 will not make it, and the next 5 will also not make it, just because they were going to be emotional. So being emotional could be dangerous sometimes. Being emotional could make you to lose your place. And those other five virgins could have lost their place if they were going to, become too emotional. So when it comes to money, you are not supposed to be too emotional. You are supposed to be logic. So, and thank God that those 5 virgins were logical, and they put on their logic hat, and they said, no, we are not going to share this thing with you. We don't want to risk losing our place. We don't want to risk our position. So you better go and look for your own oil. And when they went out to look for the oil, that was when the whole thing went off. That was when the bridegroom came, and they lost their position. So can you imagine? Only 5 people lost their position, but it would have been 10. All of them would have lost their position because they would have, if emotions would have caused them to be irrational and to waste the opportunity that they had. Okay, I'm seeing that someone just brought for me, one of my assistants just brought his own computer for me, right? So I'm going to be trying to read from what you are writing. I see that you are writing actually. Someone just brought the computer to me. I'm going to be looking at it and seeing what you write. So please write your opinion. Yeah, it's better to do that, yeah. Write your opinion. Oh, I can't see it now. Write your what you think about this teaching about money does not respond to emotions, it responds to logic. There are 2 things that it responds to. It responds to logic, and then it responds to wisdom. It responds to wisdom, and it responds to law. To law. Okay. So that's where you load more. Okay. Yeah, I want to read the last ones. What people are writing about it. I told them to write their conclusions, and will you please write your conclusions and your decisions? What are you going to do with what you are hearing? What are your conclusions? Will you share your conclusions with me? Will you share your conclusions with me? Let's read some of your conclusions here. What do you think about this teaching? So money does not respond to emotions. And also, if you have not shared this teaching, please go ahead and share it. While I'm trying to get the comments ready, let me talk about the book. This book will also help you. Money Won't Make You Rich. If you don't have your copy yet, it's in every Christian shop everywhere in the world, and it's on Amazon as well. So you can go and get Money Won't Make You Rich. That book will also help you. And if you want to join my team to Nigeria, you might need my book, the Nigerian and the Leadership Question. That will help you as well. But more than that, you would like to, if you want to join my team to go to Africa to bring about transformation, I will advise you to write to me as well. Write to pastor@godembassy.org, or you could write to Nigeria at SundayAdelajaFoundation.com. I'm sure those ones who said they have written to me, they didn't get a reply. I hope you've gotten your replies by now. So, how do I see where are the latest?
This is the latest.
This is the latest? It can't be.
Yeah,
the latest will be 56 minutes ago.
Yeah.
It can't be. They are writing every minute, every second. Maybe it's from the top.
This is the latest, and the oldest one. And this is...
I want to read what they are writing right now. Maybe it's better there.
Here.
It comes from the top. Okay, because for me it's coming from the top. Okay, Kike Moronkeji says, in a courtroom, if a defendant is hysterical, the judge will order the person out of the courtroom. That's true. Until they are calm. No room for emotions in the court. Just well-researched and knowledgeable defense. That's the same way it works with money. Otome Justin says, I just got back from midweek service and the preacher talked about money and particularly said money does not respond to emotions. And as such, we should not be emotional about money. Ooh, that guy, maybe the preacher is listening to me, or maybe he knows the law as well. Ola Martin says, yes, Pastor, you are right. I used to help a lot of people without even thinking about it. But when I got sick and I asked those same people to help, they started telling me stories. Well, that's it. You see, money does not respond to emotions. Otome says, sir, at what point do we separate emotion from principle, especially when it has to helping people of giving in the house of God? That's what I said. You must have a principle. I spoke about it in the morning. You must have your percentage of your budget that you want to give in the house of God, and the percentage of your money of your budget that you want to give to other people as well. So abide by it. That is what you must follow. You must put emotions under logics, and I said that in the beginning today as well. Lanrewaju Boli says, any enterprise is built by wise planning, becomes strong through common sense, and profits wonderfully by keeping abreast of the facts. Yes. Betty Mueller says, I think the people who judged Maria Magdalene were jealous of her. She did something great, and they didn't. They just tried to find reason to put her down. Yes. Moses says he scattered the activities of traders in the temple. That means that Jesus didn't buy their emotions in connection with money and commodity. Yeah, he didn't buy into their emotions. That's so true. Okay. Oluwatoyin says, the exact thing I taught them today in a school of fellowship. Money is not emotional. Yes, money is not emotional. Anson David said, to be successful in finances, one needs to be logical, planning, facts, and details, not emotions. That's so true. Jason, okay, nope. Terry Samuel says, money does not work with emotions, but with principle. Revolutionary, sir. Thank you. Teju Ojo says, God's word is principle, and money was logically, not by emotions. That's also true. Maraizu says, we begin to attain financial stability when we let the laws governing money rule over our emotions as regards the same. Yes. Galina says, emotions are the reason to spend money in the wrong way at the wrong time. That's so true. Okay. Hope Alive says, for which of you intended to build a tower? Yeah, that was with the scripture I was using. Oyat Monica says, I think Pastor is not seeing the comments because of the funny comments from Jason Morris. No, I didn't say, I was not seeing the comments really, but I'm seeing them now because I'm now reading some of the things you wrote. Yeah, how do we get the new ones? Okay, you have to refresh it. Well, it was nice being with you guys. Yeah, it was nice hearing your comments, and having you here today. Tomorrow we'll continue. And I hope you'll be here. I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened with my iPad today, why it's not showing the comments, but normally that doesn't happen. But we'll see what we can do about it. Thank you so much for your time. I will see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful evening. If you want to join my transformational team for Africa, write to me to pastor@godembassy.org, or you could write to my foundation, Nigeria, at SundayAdelajaFoundation.com. And if you are a writer and you think that you could help me in transferring some of this knowledge to book, you want to write to me as well and let me know. Of course, it's going to be paid. I'm going to pay you for that. It's going to be a business or a work. So get in touch and we'll do something about it. Thank you so much, everyone. Let's meet tomorrow. I'll be back here tomorrow morning at 9:30 Ukraine time. That's 7:30 Nigerian time, 7:30 English time, and 2:30 Eastern time in America. And of course, 8:30 a.m. in Europe. So we'll be there tomorrow. See you. Blessings. Bye.